My job as a late-night municipal bus driver required me to navigate Route 42 from midnight until 6 in the morning through quiet suburban streets. On my third week covering the graveyard shift, I adjusted my overhead rear-view mirror during a red light and noticed a young teenage girl sitting quietly in the very back row. She wore a bright yellow rain jacket and kept her head tilted down toward her lap, never making eye contact or raising her voice. I called out through the intercom system to remind her that the final stop was approaching, but she sat completely motionless against the vinyl upholstery. When I pulled the heavy vehicle into the central terminal and walked down the center aisle to check on her, the rear seat was entirely empty. I assumed she had slipped past me through the rear exit doors. While I was adjusting the mechanical handbrake at the loading dock the following night at exactly 2 in the morning, I looked in the mirror again and saw the exact same girl sitting in the same back seat, holding a small blue backpack. I pulled the bus over onto the shoulder of the highway, unbuckled my safety harness, and marched directly toward the back row to demand her fare card. As I reached the third row from the end, the overhead fluorescent lights flickered violently, and the figure simply vanished from sight before I could touch the seat frame. My hands began shaking so badly that I struggled to grip the heavy steering wheel for the remainder of the 3-hour shift. The next morning, I accessed the digital video recording system in the transit maintenance garage to inspect the high-definition security camera footage from the previous night. I played the video files frame by frame, but the camera mounted directly above the rear row showed nothing except an empty vinyl bench for the entire duration of the trip. I brought the digital storage card home and spent 8 straight hours replaying the footage on my personal computer screen, searching for any sign of an optical glitch. On the 5th night, I placed a heavy red sweater on the back seat before starting my route, intending to see if the girl would move or interact with the physical item. When I checked the mirror halfway through the run, the girl was sitting directly on top of the sweater without disturbing its folded shape. I slammed my foot onto the brake pedal, bringing the 50-foot vehicle to a screeching halt in the middle of an empty 4-lane boulevard. I ran back to the seat and grabbed the red sweater, finding it completely cold to the touch and untouched by human weight. The extreme stress caused my vision to blur, and I spent the rest of the night pulling off the road every 10 minutes to check the empty back row. The following evening, I brought a physical driver's logbook onto the bus and began writing down the exact times and road coordinates whenever the figure appeared in my mirror. By the end of the week, I noticed that she appeared exclusively along a 2-mile stretch of Route 9, where the road curved sharply around an old concrete bridge structure. I drove the bus to the transit depot at dawn, walked into the main office archive room, and pulled out the old accident reporting files from 5 years prior. Browsing Browsing through the yellowed paper documents, I found a detailed vehicle collision report bearing my own signature and photograph at the top of the page. The report stated that 5 years ago, I had lost control of my personal vehicle on that exact bridge curve while driving in heavy rain, crashing directly into the concrete support pillar. The police report confirmed that my 8-year-old daughter, who was sitting in the back seat wearing a yellow rain jacket, had passed away instantly from the impact. My mind had completely blocked out the memory of the fatal accident, constructing a severe psychological defense mechanism to protect me from the overwhelming remorse of causing my own child's death. Realizing that I had spent years driving the exact same road while unconsciously recreating her presence every single night shattered my remaining mental stability. I walked out of the depot archive room, left the bus keys sitting on the counter, and walked directly toward the dark bridge where the crash had occurred. Standing on the wet asphalt near the cracked concrete pillar, I finally remembered the sound of the metal crushing and the sight of the yellow jacket in my rearview mirror. I stepped over the rusted guardrail and stood on the narrow edge overlooking the swollen river current below. Unable to live another second with the weight of my actions, I stepped off the ledge into the cold air, choosing to end the endless torment of my own mind once and for all. One last question. If you were in her place at that moment, would you have done the same? Be honest. What does her choice deserve out of 10? Subscribe now. The best story is coming next.